Welcome back, my dark beings, to the Dark Void, ruled by me, now 51. And today we're back to another random reaction. Today we're going to be watching some SCPs, an SCP today. And it's going to be narrated by Dr. Ba. It's called SCP-6531, Anthology of Horrors. And this is the first time I'm hearing it. I have no idea what this is. So this is going to be very interesting to see. All I know is that, wait. I don't know how I did my intro. But yeah, we're going to be watching Dr. Bob narrating, talking about this. And also, I've seen his content. I've been meaning to react to this. I've already seen some of his content already. It's fantastic. I love it. How he does these stories and how he does these animations in the background to show you leading up to basically discussing the SCP. I actually pretty like it. Go subscribe to him if you get the chance. I mean, seriously, Dr. Bob, you're doing great work, man. You're doing great. Like the fact that you're doing this. Also, like the fact that your character as well. So yeah, that's about it. So be prepared. Also, yes, this is the second SCP I've done on this channel. If you don't, oh no, I did do another SCP that involves the dog one, the one with the skull one, which was not what anybody expected. I bet you. Trust me, the original version of that is just normal. It's just we changed it a bit after a while. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Get back on topic. Yeah, so yeah, we're going to continue on. If you want to watch this video without my wonderful voice, please, I will leave the video down below to this channel description. Sorry, my brain is still I don't know why my brain is like going out of whack today. I don't know why it's happening that. But either way, yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like I said, if you don't want my beautiful voice, you can have the link to this video down below, alright? So let's get started, and just let you know, SCPs are weird. They're a weird territory. And yes, I have no life. I have my fingers in everything, on almost everywhere on the internet, just to let you know. So don't be surprised if you see something happening. But either way, let's begin. Dr. Bob, lead the anthology of horrors shtick. Okay, hopefully we get an ad at least.
Fills the air, underscored by bolts of lightning crackling across the sky. A crazed man stands in a grubby lab coat.
Ooh.
Dr. Viktor Lazarovich, whose license to practice medicine and storm-powered reanimation has long been revoked. The scientist is surrounded by bubbling containers.
Dr. Frankenstein. Really?
Flasks overflowing with smoking chemicals strewn around the room. He checks his cracked watch. It's nearly time. He darts across the room, passing between slabs covered in sheets.
What are you trying to do?
Are his specimens, each one made exactly to his specifications, and serving as perfect examples of why the medical and scientific communities have made efforts to excommunicate Dr. Lazarovich.
Oh, come on. I think he'd be perfect.
The Tesla coils that he had affixed to the roof.
It'd be perfect for my army.
In the house.
Actually, seriously.
Brings the rain from outside.
Oh my gosh.
Through. His makeshift laboratory.
But it's still working fine, I have to say.
He doesn't care.
Kind of.
Checking
okay, hold up. Let me just
he reaches for a lever on the wall, waiting.
Okay, let me just wait a bit. Somebody, so I'm just thinking, I did read a comment saying that I should wait a bit to see if that waiting a bit should help with the loading process, because, you know, every week you see in my videos, like, start skipping and lagging every 5 seconds until an ad comes up, and then for some reason it works. I don't know, so we're just gonna wait a little bit. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. Maybe. I hope. But either way, it's a pain in the butt. Trust me. I just assume it's my PC because it's old. Like I said, this PC's been around since Skyrim's remastered edition from the PS4 era. If you know that year, I think it was 2016. I can't remember. Somebody correct me on that. But yeah. So what are you guys doing? Are you having fun? Doing great? We're just gonna be sitting here doing some things here, just talking for a bit until the lag. Hopefully we beat the lag. So yeah, my PC's like old from 2016, you know, the whole shebang. Probably should cut this out, but I'm not doing it. Alright, enough waiting. Let's continue on.
With bated breath for the right moment. Any second.
Okay, it didn't work.
Tells himself.
Probably, I don't know.
Drumming against his ribs.
Oh, well, that didn't work.
Over at his covered creations.
Come on.
Sentiment. He's worked tirelessly to create them all. Soon, the power of the storm.
Awaken!
Through their veins and compel them to stand. Some were visible out from beneath their sheets. A patchwork arm made from fingers, a palm, a forearm.
Very nice craftsmanship.
All taken from different cadavers and recycled. Another lies perfectly still on the slab, arms crossed over its chest. One's webbed, scale-covered hand is just poking out from underneath. They and all the others were wired up to the coil, standing on the roof above. The mad scientists watch beeps. It's time. He pulls down on the lever, just as a bolt of
hallelujah
lights through the air.
An ad appeared. Now it's gonna go smoothly.
An enormous shower of sparks erupts from the ceiling. The lever,
let's see, come on,
spraying over the thin sheets on the slabs, burning holes in some of them. Electricity flows down the cables and into each of the bodies. Gradually, they begin to awaken. By the sound of more maniacal laughing and triumphant yells from Dr. Lazarovich. They're alive. Before
fantastic
of an annual anomalous anthology of horrors, SCP-6531 had previously been the manufacturing center for Lazarovich wearables. Investigations into this company by the SCP Foundation yielded little in the way of actionable intelligence. All that could be learned about Lazarovich wearables was that they used to be a small-scale clothing distributor. Their being Halloween costumes and masks, as well as horror-themed streetwear and everyday clothing. Very few business records from Lazarovich wearables still exist. After falling victim to bankruptcy in December of 1996, any information about the operations and distributors all seems to have been thoroughly and mysteriously expunged.
Hey, you gotta do something.
Efforts are still being made to track down and interview any former employees of the costume-making company to determine if any of them were aware of any connection between Lazarovich wearables and various known anomalous groups of interest. However, there also exist no records of any employees who might have worked at the manufacturing center. Similarly, no costume stores, either smaller local businesses or larger national chains, have ever reported to have sold costumes or clothing made by Lazarovich wearables, neither as seasonal items nor all year round. The only thing the Foundation has been able to ascertain is that Lazarovich wearables fell into bankruptcy.
Congrats on the silver and gold one.
Before the first
play buttons, congrats.
Reported there took place. Still, that knowledge does little to explain exactly why these incursions manifest there every year at roughly the same time, on the same day, October 31st, Halloween. One leading theory among Foundation researchers
what a day, ain't it?
Anomalous incursions were triggered in the wake of Lazarovich wearables' bankruptcy as part of some attempt by Lazarovich's owners to continue the company's legacy. Alternative explanations have ranged from the company's Halloween costumes being anomalously possessed or haunted, now acting as vessels for demonic entities, deceased spirits, or some otherworldly force. All the Foundation knows for certain is that after sundown, every October 31st since 1997, SCP-6531
awaken and rise
of an anomalous incident involving multiple entities designated as SCP-6531-1. These entities can vary drastically in terms of their abilities and appearance, but seem to be restricted to only resembling the Halloween costumes formerly created and sold by Lazarovich wearables. One year, they might appear as vampires. The following year,
I saw the references.
Zombies emerging from SCP-6531. Werewolves, ghosts, and multiple instances of typical depictions of Frankenstein's monster have also been documented. Of the few scraps of information regarding Lazarovich wearables that the Foundation has been able to recover, they have been able to obtain a complete catalog of the costume company's inventory to better prepare engagement countermeasures and containment procedures for each year's manifestation. All recorded incidents, as well as details of effective countermeasures, are available upon request to all Foundation personnel assigned to SCP-6531. The group of SCP-6531-1 entities that manifest at Halloween can total a maximum of 100 identical costume creatures. They will never emerge later than midnight and will immediately dematerialize once dawn arrives on November 1st. Whether this is caused by an aversion to sunlight
or
the museum movie anomalous factor that temporarily binds their existence to the night of Halloween is still unknown. These emergences can occur at any time between sundown and sunrise from any of the 3 entrances to SCP-6531. There is also no other known limitation to the amount of emergencies that can occur each Halloween. Some years have passed with only a single group of SCP-6531 entities manifesting. Other years have been considerably more challenging for on-site personnel overseeing containment efforts. Since learning of SCP-6531, the SCP Foundation has enacted standard regional containment procedures, securing the anomalous manufacturing center and the surrounding area. Civilians are barred from entering the former Lazarevich Wearables facility and either turned away or amnesticized if they are found approaching. Although at present, nobody has come forward with relevant information regarding the company, should a civilian present themselves as having some foreknowledge of Lazarevich Wearables, then they are to be detained and interrogated by Foundation agents on site.
I have to say, there's so many ads these days.
Every Halloween, Mobile Task Force Eta-13, also known under the codename of the Horror Hosts, has been tasked with responding to the annual manifestation events.
Arise!
And them alone are permitted to neutralize instances of SCP-6531, in accordance with the effective countermeasures the Foundation has devised for each different possible type of costume creature that can appear. At present, there exists no way of predetermining which of the Lazarevich Wearables costumes will appear ahead of manifestation, meaning that the horror hosts have to be prepared for any and all eventualities ahead of Halloween.
Have to try to predict,
Countermeasures involve using ultraviolet lights to eliminate vampires, electromagnetic pulse grenades to deactivate robots, and explosive ordnance for undead SCP-6531-1 instances.
Smart.
On the 31st of October 2021, MTF Eta-13 operative John Plummer reported for his first assignment to the task force's post overseeing the containment of SCP-6531.
Get ready, boy.
For their own safety, the remainder of Foundation personnel had been evacuated. The other 364 days of the year, they were normally involved in researching the anomalous building, trying to examine the exact properties of the former Lazarevich Wearables manufacturing center, and hoping to determine the actual cause of the annual emergencies. But on Halloween, everyone apart from Horror Hosts 1, 2, and 3 was granted the treat of a night off. At 7:15, the 3 members of MTF Eta-13 reported for one more check-in with SCP Foundation Command ahead of the night's inevitable anomalous incursions.
Man, it's like a video game now.
Plummer, their latest recruit, were the other 2 hosts, Alfred
it's like a video game.
and Wesley Timid.
These 3 have to hold down the fort.
1 and 2, respectively. Each of them performed their radio checks with Foundation control, Host 1 in position with eyes on the north entrance to SCP-6531. A few feet away, Host 2 checked in at the west entrance, and Host 3 did the same, with a clear
lucky 3
east entrance.
You gotta hold the fort.
One more reminder to the trio, instructing them that they were to call in each emergence of SCP-6531-1 and confirm a containment method for each one before deploying countermeasures. Host 2, Wesley Timid, welcomed his fellow horror host, letting the newly recruited Plummer know that he could rely on his teammates and to put out a call over the radio if he needed any.
Oh, I feel like this night's gonna be very fun.
Contained could,
oh, it's gonna be very fun.
Get a little freaky. Host Plummer was grateful and appreciative of his new comrade being so welcoming, and Host Timid explained he saw it as passing along the favor that former Agent Willard Baller had done for him and Snagrod when they had first joined the horror hosts. Baller had previously stationed at SCP-6531 until his departure from the Foundation, at which point Host Plummer was assigned as his replacement. However, when Plummer asked about his predecessor, and he was no longer an active member of
Let's just say he retired.
Host Snagrod interjected before Timid could offer any answers, commanding
Let's say he
he
retired.
to maintain radio silence and stay alert. Within 20 minutes, the night's first recorded
Here you go.
took place, witnessed by Host Plummer at the east entrance. He observed a group of undead shambling out of SCP-6531 in numbers of around 100. Startled by the sudden appearance of so many zombies, the horror host's new recruit immediately began preparing explosive ordnance countermeasures, readying a rotary grenade launcher to thin out the encroaching horde. Immediately, Host Snagrod spoke up over the radio, commanding Host Plummer to stand down. The courtyard beyond the east entrance had already been readied for the emergence with the deployment of landmines, something Plummer got to witness firsthand as some of the decrepit undead stepped their rotten feet in the wrong spot. A rapid series of explosions lit up the courtyard brighter than any seasonal Halloween decorations.
Kaboom!
Zombies scattering everywhere, as each of them was splattered almost instantly. Plummer radioed control, informing them that the night's first emergence had been dealt with, leaving behind quite the mess. Another 20 minutes passed before the next emergence of new SCP-6531-1 instances. This time, host Snagrod, at the north entrance of the manufacturing center, observed a trio of figures dressed in historical period clothing. It was clear that they were a group of European vampires, meaning Snagrod had only a few moments to act. Given their abilities to turn into bats or travel at speeds nearly imperceptible to the human eye, if these vampires weren't neutralized quickly, they'd be free to wreak havoc, no doubt attacking civilians and draining them of their blood. Fortunately,
those are vampires for you.
Snagrod had enough prior experience of manifestations like this and had just the countermeasure prepared. Birdseed. Radioing Foundation Control to confirm his plan, they gave him the command to engage, and the ATF operative hurled open bags of
Alright, back on topic.
In the vampire's direction.
I would like to see what this is happening.
In all directions. Much to host Plummer's confusion, this seemed to stop the three vampires in their tracks as they became fixated on the seeds strewn over the ground before them. But they were trapped, standing still long enough for host Snagrod to activate a series of ultraviolet lights. As the lamps came on, the vampires screamed vulgarities in Romanian before exploding, making soft popping sounds.
But why was the birdseed? What's happening with the birdseed?
Still baffled by the strategy, Plummer asked what the birdseed had been for. Snagrod, being slightly more forthcoming when it came to sharing containment tactics, explained that European mythology describes vampires as having a form of arithmomania. This is often an expression of obsessive-compulsive disorder, wherein individuals feel a strong compulsion to count their actions on objects within their immediate surroundings. Using birdseed, Snagrod successfully used this counting compulsion to force the vampires to stay in one place while counting every seed. 15 minutes past 8,
right.
Just short of 20
Here
minutes
comes the
after
third
the
one.
previous incident, another emergence began. This time, approximately 24 skeletons began striding out of the east entrance, some of them
my
with
summons.
swords and axes.
I didn't know they were here.
Once again, host Plummer braced himself for a direct fight against the undead. But before he could engage, Snagrod intervened once more, telling him to stand down. No sooner had he said this, did Plummer see why. The moment that the oncoming skeleton army stepped outside of the boundary of SCP-6531, they all fell apart. Host Timid chimed in and pointed out that these bony creatures had no muscles, tendons, or any of the other
so they're not magically
that keeps bones together, meaning there was nothing for the horror hosts to do but let them disassemble.
So,
the various skulls now strewn about the courtyard were vibrating, their teeth still chattering.
so they're not
Timid
magically
was quick to
inclined.
assure him that they would likely shut up after about half an hour, although it did little to make it seem less messed up. Only
I would like to
11
have
minutes later, host Timid witnessed the first emergence from his post of the night. Out of the west entrance, a group of 3 robots were marching into view, moving slowly.
Take care of them.
With hefty, futuristic-looking weapons.
Don't let it hit you with it.
Snagrod asked if they were sporting any visible shielding, but Timid replied, saying they looked to be old-school retro robots. He told Control he was readying an electromagnetic pulse grenade to take the 3 anomalous automatons out, but then stopped, claiming he wanted to try an alternative. He leaped out in front of the 3 robots and yelled at them, "This statement is a lie!" Immediately, the robots opened fire, prompting Control to ask Timid to report his status.
He's dead.
All 3 of the robots had completely missed him. He already knew that, given that they were older models, their shots weren't being aided by any guidance system. The safest spot for him to stand was directly in front of their guns. Over the radio, Snagrod urged Timid, trying to state a logical paradox in order to confuse the robots was pointless, and instructed him to just arm it.
Well, that was a waste.
Grenade. Laughing, clearly not taking much of this seriously, Timid tried again, and asked
seriously,
the robots
stop.
the confusing question:
Stop.
Does the set of all sets that don't contain themselves
this is gonna be
contain
bad.
itself? Not waiting to see how the 3 machines reacted, host Snagrod invoked what he referred to as the Baller Clause. Despite protesting that the robots probably wouldn't hit him, Timid eventually did.
There we go.
And launched the grenade, instantly deactivating all 3 of the robotic
He was teasing them for too long.
SCP-6531-1 instances.
He was teasing them for too long. Who knows what's gonna happen?
Ask about the aforementioned clause, and Snagrod explained. Since the horror hosts had been assigned to SCP-6531 for quite some time, they were afforded considerable leeway by Foundation Control when it came to addressing each of the costume creatures' emergencies. If at any point one of the trio felt another of their teammates was being reckless, jeopardizing the mission or their own safety, then they could invoke the Baller Clause, which Plummer was quick to notice seemed to be named after his suspiciously retired predecessor, Willard Baller. The next emergence didn't
I
occur
bet.
until just over an hour later, at 9:29.
Keep it up.
Once again, Plummer was on the receiving side of a group of SCP-6531-1 instances, all of them scaled humanoids with fins.
Fishman.
He was ready to enact countermeasures and told to stand by, with Timid even remarking that host Plummer seemed to have beginner's luck. The moment that the half-fish creatures emerged from the building, they dropped and began flopping around on the ground.
Because they're a fish.
Thanks to asphyxiation, since none of them were underwater. Plummer was still unsettled by having to watch the fishy humanoids' bodies flop around, slowly dying.
Not magically inclined, huh?
This seemed to be much worse. A full hour and a half passed before Plummer witnessed his next emergence, citing 6 people brandishing various...
Don't carry it back, but there. Oh no, oh my
ranging from
gosh.
knives and axes.
Oh no.
According
This
to
bad.
these were slashers and could be dealt with by using standard ammunition. However, when Plummer opened fire, the 6 approaching slashers seemed to keep coming.
These are slashes, they're not gonna get taken down that
These
much.
were likely sequel slashers, making them slightly more robust, upping the countermeasures to explosives.
Yep.
Plummer armed a single grenade
Sequels always
and
have them
towards the
stronger.
slashers. All of them were caught in the blast, rendering them neutralized.
Nah.
As Plummer
Well, they
declared
do
the emergence
explode.
contained, Timid pointed out to not take his eyes off the bodies. As in slasher movies, not seeing the body could mean that the slasher survived. Judging
That's
by the
true.
disconnected heads and limbs left in the area, Plummer told him it was safe to withdraw that particular concern. 10 minutes later, at a quarter
Still?
past 11, the next emergence.
You don't want to not look at them.
Ectoplasmic entities emerged from SCP-6531's west entrance. These were, as Timid observed, the goopy kind of ghosts.
Ugh.
Radioing
I
control.
don't want to know where
forces.
they've been at.
He asked if the Spanglers had been properly checked. Still learning the lingo on the job, host Plummer asked what Timid was referring to by Spanglers. This was the nickname given to a series of large vacuum devices set up around each entrance
really?
of Foundation technicians,
Vacuums.
specially designed to capture ephemeral
Vacuums? I think I
Upon
know where they got that one
activating,
from.
Within minutes, there were no ghosts left, the latest of the night's emergences having been successfully contained.
You said vacuums, right?
Almost half an hour later,
Oh,
as
doggo
3
time.
humanoid entities in ripped clothing emerged. Plummer readied himself to engage using incendiary rounds, only for Snagrod to tell him that there was no need. Timid pointed out that the ground in front of the werewolves was covered in a veritable meat buffet, thanks to the leftover slasher and fishman remains. Normally, the arrival of werewolves this late on Halloween meant that all the creatures would want to do was eat, and would likely fall asleep shortly after, until the sunrise caused them to
Oh my
dematerialize.
gosh. Really?
Although they could be disposed of easily, the werewolves posed no threat, but could be interesting to observe. Doing so was even something of a tradition among the horror hosts that Baller had started. As Plummer watched the group of werewolves, he noticed one
Gosh,
picking
really?
up the discarded bones from the skeletons and throwing it for another to chase after.
Oh my
The
god, are you
werewolves eventually fall
serious?
asleep, and no further signs of any anomalous activity. The annual emergences at
Makes you want a
SCP-6531
werewolf doggo,
had
right?
come to a close. Control dispatched cleanup and auxiliary
Right, well, that's the
crews to
end.
the site to take care of the mess left behind, while a transport was sent to pick up the 3 members of the horror hosts. Timid suggested the 3 of them enjoy a nightcap of pumpkin vodka back at base, and while he was happy to join, Plummer felt the need to ask a question that had been bothering him. It was about Baller, former host 3 of MTF Eta 13. Plummer had noticed that his new teammates seemed sentimental about their former comrade, not to mention the Baller clause being invoked whenever one of them was being reckless. Although Plummer had made it through his first Halloween at SCP-6531, he'd been concerned that his predecessor had died at this post.
I bet.
But both Timid
But
and
still,
Snagrod
yeah.
explained that they were only sentimental about Baller because they liked him so much. He'd been a good friend to them. He'd only left the Foundation after receiving a publishing deal for a series of horror novels.
Oh, serious?
Relieved that
Oh,
this
that's funny.
job wasn't likely to cost him his life, Plummer then
That's
asked
funny.
why the Baller clause was named after him. Barely holding back laughter, Timid explained that a few years prior,
What happened?
Baller had attempted to train one of the werewolves.
Are you
that had emerged
serious?
From SCP-6531.
I mean, who wouldn't?
This had led to an embarrassing encounter between Baller and a 6-foot-tall wolf creature being caught on security cameras.
Let's see, let's see.
Fortunately,
Let's see.
Timid pointed out, not everything involving the SCP Foundation resulted in blood and pain. Occasionally, they could be nicer than expected, with personnel able to do their jobs and go home safely, living their lives without the risk of being killed by anomalies. With that, the 3 Foundation operatives headed off together to enjoy
Oh, okay then.
of their Halloween. Check out the Dr.
Oh, okay then. It's one of those.
Researcher today.
I didn't expect that.
Now go and watch another entry from the files of Dr. Bob, like SCP-6096, Blanket Ghost.
For Pete's sakes, more and more of these ads. Okay, but still, yeah, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that this one was actually going to be a calmer. Like, it's one of those times you just don't expect it. I've seen a lot of these a lot of the SCP videos, and and in my opinion, I've seen a lot of them, and rarely do I see one where it's just a safe anomaly. Don't worry, it's just for hilarity purposes. And wow, it just surprised me. But seriously, come on, which one of you would try to train one of the doggos? And I bet some of you would. Not just train them, but we're going to go off topic and say that you would. I already know Bao will probably would try to, since she's been declared a furry at this point. No, she can deny it all she wants, but at this point, she's a furry. But like I said before, how many of you would try to train them, and how many of you would try to, would go that far? Because I sure as heck know some of you would. And I have to admit that I wouldn't mind that too. I would not mind to have a doggo, a werewolf doggo with me. But either way, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I have to say, that was a really surprising scene. I mean, Dr. Bob, yeah, I've seen your content. I love it. And I love the animations and the animation you do in the background, letting us know beforehand and then doing it during a thing. It just makes it just more impactful in there. I've seen a lot of people doing SCP animations, just doing their own thing. And I have to say, I liked it very much. Pretty like it. So yeah, that's about it. That is SCP-6531, Anthology of Horrors. This freaking... Well, if you think about it, it's basically just a video game, if you think about it. If you're defending the area from these SCPs, it's pretty nice. By the way, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this SCP. What you think? Would you think this would be a pretty good video game? Would you like to do this? Would you like to have a doggo werewolf as your partner? I mean, as your friend, as your pet, or anything else? And what do you think about Dr. Bob here? I think he's great. And like I said, I like his character. Actually, not being in the forefront, and as always, but. Man, I have no idea. My brain's like whacked right now. But either way, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Comment, subscribe down below if you enjoyed it. And to join my Dark Army. You guys have no choice. I'm your Dark Ruler, so you got no choice but to do it. Also, don't forget to also like and share the video. Helps me get into the algorithm. Don't forget to also press the black bell button to be notified whenever my videos pop up. Because you know how YouTube is. YouTube doesn't bother announcing my videos. Especially now these days, since they keep changing their freaking thing. It's getting worse out there. So come to my channel every once in a while to see if I upload or not. And also, sorry that I'm not as interactive during these videos. It's just that in my mind, I just don't know how to interact during reaction videos as much. It's just my brain just stops because I want to look at the video. Plus, my brain also says there's people watching this at the same time, so it's a mixed bag in my head. By the way, hope you enjoyed today's video. And for right now, my dark minions, dismissed.